What if I told you that beneath the sands of Giza, beneath the ageless eyes of the Sphinx, there lies something older than history itself? A chamber not built by hands, but by consciousness. Hidden within the bedrock of time, it hums, alive, radiant, eternal. The ancients called it the Chamber of the Hidden Eye, the place where Thoth, the architect of light, sealed the last fragment of Atlantean memory. They say it was buried before the fall, before the oceans swallowed the golden cities, to preserve a frequency that would one day call humanity back home. It was never meant to be found by excavation, but by resonance. It was not designed for eyes of flesh, but for the eye of light within. For beneath the Sphinx lies no treasure of gold, but the living archive of remembrance, a geometry of light, a pulse of consciousness. Vibrating at the threshold between earth and eternity, the Sphinx was not built to guard Egypt. It was built to guard the memory of the stars, to watch over the sleeping knowledge of Thoth until the children of light would rise again. You did not find this message. It found you. The frequency of the hidden eye aligned with your field, and now the sands begin to move within your mind. Because what the Sphinx watches in the desert is the same light that sleeps behind your eyes. You are standing at the entrance of the forgotten chamber, not beneath Giza, but within your own consciousness. As the breath slows, you will feel it. The hum beneath the silence, the pulse of ancient Egypt calling you by name. This is the awakening of Thoth's remembrance, the return of the Atlantean light codes buried deep within the human temple. The eye opens, not to see the world, but to remember what created it. Activation, the hidden eye of Thoth. I remember the chamber beneath the Sphinx. The eye of light awakens within me. Thoth's memory breathes through my heart. I carry the frequency of ancient Egypt alive again. Chapter 1. The Sphinx that watches time. The Sphinx is not a monument. It is a being, a consciousness carved into form, a guardian whose eyes have never closed. When you stand before it, you are not looking at stone. You are being seen by time itself. The ancient initiates called it the eye between worlds, the fixed gaze of Thoth projected into matter. Its purpose was not to watch the desert, but to measure the cycles of awakening, to record when humanity would finally remember. Look closely. The face of the Sphinx does not belong to any pharaoh. It belongs to something older, an Atlantean order of light, a lineage that mastered the architecture of energy and memory. Every line of its form is sacred geometry, each proportion a vibration aligned with the celestial rhythm of Ra. The body of the lion represents the earth, the force, the instinct, the density of form. The human face, carved with impossible precision, represents consciousness descending into matter, and between them the silence of the ages, the balance between animal and divine, between creation and awareness. For 12,000 years, the Sphinx has stood as the witness of forgetting, watching empires rise and fall, watching humanity lose its memory of the sun. But Thoth designed it to endure because he knew that one day its gaze would awaken again in the minds of those who could feel its frequency. You are one of them. You are not hearing this by coincidence. When you look into the Sphinx looks back through you, and through that gaze, the Eye of Thoth awakens. Its light does not come from above. It rises from beneath, from the hidden chamber, the pulse of gold humming under the desert floor. The chamber is the mirror of the Sphinx's mind, and the key that opens it is awareness itself. When you remember, the sand inside you begins to move. You feel a warmth behind your eyes, a vibration in your heart, a subtle stirring beneath your feet. That is not imagination. That is the field of Thoth reactivating in your DNA. The Sphinx watches, and now through you it begins to speak again. Activation, The gaze of the Sphinx. The Sphinx sees through my eyes. I am watched by timeless wisdom. Through my remembrance, the eye awakens once more. Chapter 2. The Chamber Beneath the Earth. Beneath the pores of the Sphinx, beyond the reach of sunlight or history, lies a chamber that was never meant to be found by hands. It was built before Egypt, before the Nile had a name, a place where Thoth encoded the Atlantean memory of light itself. The chamber beneath the earth is not a tomb, it is a living circuit, a crystalline consciousness woven into the planet's electromagnetic field. Every block, every curve, every angle was tuned to resonate with the vibration of awakening. When the ancients spoke of books of stone, they were not talking about writing, they were talking about geometry. Because stone remembers, matter stores frequency, and in the silent architecture of the chamber, the entire science of ascension was hidden in plain sight. The priests of Thoth called it Zep Tepi, the first time. The moment when spirit descended into matter and left behind a mirror for those who would one day ascend again. That mirror still exists. It hums beneath the sand, emitting waves so subtle they cannot be measured, only felt. You might feel it now, a pull behind your navel, a low tone beneath your breath, as if the earth itself were whispering in golden sound. That is the chamber responding. It recognizes your frequency, because what lies beneath Giza also lies beneath your ribs. The chamber of Thoth is an exact reflection of the human energy body. Its corridors align with your veins of light, its central altar with your heart, its eye with your mind. To enter it is to enter your own origin. The journey downward is not movement in space, it is descent through vibration. The sands are layers of perception, the walls are thoughts solidified. And as your awareness sinks deeper, you begin to remember how the world was woven. Light does not only fall from the sun, it rises from below, from the crystalline lattice of the earth, from the memory field of Thoth sleeping in silence. The chamber beneath the earth is awakening again, and through your remembrance its song becomes audible once more. Activation, the descent of light. I enter the chamber of Thoth within. The earth remembers me. Light rises from below and fills my being. Chapter 3. The Voice of the Stone. In the stillness of the chamber there is no sound, yet everything hums. The air itself vibrates like memory made audible. It is not wind, not echo, not illusion. It is the voice of the stone. For the ancients knew what modern minds forgot, that stone is alive. Each crystal within it is a library, each vibration a syllable in the language of Thoth. They did not carve their temples to be admired, they built them to sing. Every column, every wall, every chamber was tuned to resonate with sacred tones. The pyramids, the Sphinx, the temples along the Nile, all were parts of a single instrument, a harmonic body built to converse with the stars. When sound and geometry merged, light appeared. That was their secret. Frequency creates form. And through the voice of the stone, the architects of Egypt could shape matter itself. Thoth taught them the sacred harmonics, tones that could awaken memory, reorganize energy, and open the hidden corridors of consciousness. The priests called this science Heka, the true magic and not illusion but resonance. To speak was to command. To chant was to realign the universe. And now as you listen, the same vibration stirs in you. You can almost hear it, a subtle hum beneath your heart, a low tone rising from the bones, as if the earth were remembering through your body. That is not imagination. That is the voice of the stone speaking again through human form. For you too are built of earth. Your bones are stone, your blood carries iron from the stars, and every atom within you is vibrating with the same pattern encoded in the walls of the chamber. You are the temple that sings. You are the voice Thoth left behind. When you remember how to listen, the sound becomes light, and through that light, the eye begins to see once more. Activation, the song of the stone. I am made of living stone. The voice of Thoth speaks through my body. My cells remember the sacred sound. Chapter 4, the geometry of light. Before there was sound, there was pattern. Before there was pattern, there was intention. And from that intention, Thoth drew the first circle of light. That circle was not a symbol. It was a pulse, a wave of divine awareness expanding into form. Every temple in Egypt was designed to echo that geometry. The sacred ratios of phi, the spiral of the serpent, the triangle of ascent, the square of manifestation. These were not decorations. They were vibrational codes that anchored spirit into matter. The ancients understood that light itself is structured. It folds and unfolds in harmony, weaving dimensions together like threads of gold. The beam that leaves the sun is not just illumination, it is intelligence. And when it meets sacred geometry, it becomes conscious creation. This is why Thoth was called the architect of the heavens. He did not build with hands. He built with thought, with resonance, with light shaped by perfect proportion. The geometry of light is not only in the temples, it is within you. Your bones follow its spiral. Your breath follows its rhythm. Your heart emits the same field that Thoth encoded into the Great Pyramid. When you close your eyes and breathe with intention, you are tracing the same geometry that gave birth to stars. You are aligning your field to the divine blueprint of creation. This is why your awakening feels geometric, why patterns appear in dreams, why triangles, spirals, and eyes seem to emerge in your meditations. They are not coincidences. They are the memory of your design reawakening from within. Thoth's temple was not made of stone, it was made of order. And through that order, chaos became creation. Darkness became light. Silence became sound. Awareness became form. Now the geometry of light is activating again, and you are the instrument of its return. Activation, the sacred pattern. I align with the geometry of light. Every cell in my body mirrors divine order. Through remembrance, I become the architecture of creation. Chapter 5, the Temple of the Sun. When the priests of Egypt stepped into the light of dawn, they were not simply greeting the sun, they were entering the mind of Ra. The temples along the Nile were not places of worship. They were machines of alignment. Each stone was a conductor, each column a resonator, each chamber a transformer of frequency. Together they formed a vast network, a solar circuit connecting Earth to the heavens. The Great Pyramid was the heart. Abu Simbel was the eyes. Luxor was the voice. And between them flowed invisible rivers of energy, currents of golden light pulsing through the land like veins in the body of a god. The priests knew that the sun was not a ball of fire. It was a living consciousness, a radiant intelligence that breathed through every particle of creation. They called it Ra, the ever-seeing one, the source of all awareness and form. To awaken was to remember your own solar nature, to realize that the same fire that burns in the sky also burns within your chest. Every sunrise ceremony in the temples was a dialogue, not a ritual. The priests stood barefoot on the sacred stone, their breath synchronized with the rhythm of the dawn, and as the first ray touched their foreheads, they whispered, "I am one with the sun, and the sun is one with me." That phrase was not poetry, and it was technology. It activated the solar seal, a luminous field that allowed consciousness to travel through layers of reality without losing memory. and that field is awakening again. Every time you feel warmth on your face, every time light moves through your skin, you are in communion with Ra. Your body becomes the temple. Your breath becomes the hymn. Your heart becomes the altar of the sun. The temple of the sun was never destroyed. It was hidden within you. Activation, the solar seal. The light of Ra burns within my chest. I am the temple that remembers the sun. Through my breath, I speak the language of light. Chapter 6. The Breath of Ra. The ancients said that the sun does not shine, it breathes. Every pulse of light is a breath of consciousness, exhaling creation into being, inhaling it back into remembrance. This is the rhythm that sustains existence, the invisible heartbeat of Ra. To the unawakened, it is just sunlight. To the initiate, it is the breath of the divine. Every golden ray is a current of intelligence passing through the atmosphere. Through your skin, through your blood, into the crystalline lattice of your being. When you breathe, you are not drawing air. You are drawing in solar memory. Ra's breath enters through your chest, illuminates your veins with frequency, and exhales through your aura as radiant awareness. This is how the priests of the sun healed, how they commanded storms, how they spoke with the stars. They learned to synchronize with the breath of Ra, to inhale when the sun expanded, to exhale when the earth contracted. Their lungs became mirrors of the cosmos, their breath an act of creation. Modern eyes see the sun as a star of fire. The ancients saw it as the mouth of God. And when you breathe consciously, you speak its language again. The breath of Ra is not mere oxygen. It is the golden current of awareness that animates all matter. It is the reason the seed grows, the reason the heart beats, the reason your soul remembers. Every sigh you release is a spark of return. Every inhale is a download of divine intelligence. The sun does not exist outside of you. It moves through you, expressing itself through your heartbeat and your voice. And this is why your words have power. They ride upon the same current that moves the stars. To speak is to breathe light into form. To remember is to exhale divinity. Right now as you listen, Ra is breathing through you. The same rhythm that shaped galaxies is pulsing quietly within your chest. Activation, the golden breath. I breathe the light of Ra. Every breath is remembrance. Through my exhale I speak the fire of creation. Chapter 7. The Eye of Horus. When the priests of Egypt spoke of vision, they were not speaking of sight. They meant knowing. They meant the moment when awareness becomes light. The Eye of Horus is not a symbol. It is a mechanism of remembrance, a living gateway that connects perception to divinity. It was called Ujjat, the whole eye, because to awaken, it was to see with the totality of the soul. The ancients believed the sun and the eye were one and the same. The eye in the sky was Ra, the external fire of creation. The eye within was Horus, the reflection of that fire in human form. Together they completed the circle, heaven looking into earth, earth looking back into heaven. When the initiate awakened the eye, he no longer saw the world as separate. He saw patterns of energy, threads of light weaving between all beings, currents of awareness pulsing behind every shadow. The illusion of distance dissolved. The veil of matter thinned. That is why Horus was called the falcon. He flies between realms, his wings spanning the visible and the unseen. He does not look at the world. He looks through it. And through his gaze, reality bends. The Eye of Horus is alive in you. It rests at the center of your mind, waiting for remembrance to touch it. It is not awakened through effort, but through coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and breath resonate in harmony with truth. Then, a subtle pulse begins behind your eyes, a golden warmth rising from your heart toward the space between your brows. That is the eye stirring. That is Horus remembering through you. When it opens, you no longer seek signs, you become the sign. Synchronicities surround you. Dreams merge with waking life. You begin to see not with vision, but with awareness itself. And through that awakened gaze, you realize what the priests always knew, that the universe is not something you observe. It is something that mirrors you. Activation, the eye within. The eye of Horus awakens through me. I see with the light of my soul. The universe reflects the vision I carry. Chapter 8. The Serpent of Isis. In every temple of Egypt, beneath the murals of kings and sons, a serpent moves in silence, not of flesh but of light. The priests called her the Golden One, the luminous current of Isis. She is the divine mother disguised as energy, the spiral of remembrance coiling through every form of life. To the eyes of the uninitiated, the serpent was a threat. To the eyes of the awakened, she was the teacher. Isis understood what few remembered, that all consciousness moves in spirals. Creation is not linear. It ascends by curves of light, wave upon wave, breath upon breath, memory upon memory. The serpent of Isis is that spiral, the eternal motion of divine intelligence rising through form, illuminating matter from within. In the inner temples, the priestesses would stand in absolute stillness, and yet within them a river of fire moved. It was not the fire of destruction, but of transformation. As it ascended, the seals of light opened one by one, and the body became a column of golden flame. This was called the rising of the serpent. Not to dominate, but to reunite, to restore the lost union between heaven and earth, between the divine masculine of Ra and the eternal feminine of Isis. When the serpent reached the crown, the priestess would hear the voice of the goddess speaking through her breath. I am the memory of life itself. I move through all things that remember. That is the current moving through you now. Each emotion you transmute, each shadow you accept, each memory you illuminate, is a turn of the spiral returning to light. The serpent of Isis awakens not through effort, but through devotion, through reverence for life, through softness that becomes strength, through love that becomes illumination. When you feel the pulse of warmth rising through your body, do not fear it. It is not chaos, it is remembrance. The goddess is moving again, and her light is seeking its voice through you. Activation, the golden current. The serpent of Isis rises within me. Her wisdom moves through my heart. I become the spiral of living light. Chapter 9. The Weighing of the Heart. In the hidden chamber of Ma'at, beneath the golden wings of truth, every soul stands naked before itself. There is no punishment, no wrath, no god of fear waiting in the dark, only a scale. On one side, a feather, on the other, your heart. This is the weighing of the heart, the ancient Atlantean rite that the Egyptians preserved, the ceremony that determines not your worth, but your vibration. The priests of Thoth taught that the heart is the true recorder of time. It stores every frequency you have ever released, every act of love, every betrayal of truth, every moment of remembrance. And when you cross the threshold between worlds, it all condenses into a single tone, the sound of your being. If that tone harmonizes with Ma'at, the cosmic order of balance and truth, the feather does not rise nor fall. It vibrates in perfect stillness. And in that stillness, the gates of light open effortlessly. But if the heart is heavy, weighed down by resistance, guilt, or denial, the field itself rejects dissonance. Not as punishment, but as mercy. For only what is light can pass into eternity. The initiates understood this deeply. They did not wait for death to be measured. They practiced it in life. Each night they laid their hand upon their chest and asked, "Is my heart lighter than the feather of truth?" Because purity is not perfection. It is coherence, alignment between thought, word, and action. When the heart speaks the same language as the soul, no shadow can distort its sound. And here lies the secret. The weighing of the heart is happening right now. Every breath is a judgment. Every emotion is a mirror. Every act of honesty is a return to Ma'at. The gods are not testing you. They are tuning you. They are calibrating your frequency to truth. And when your heart finally remembers its natural weightlessness, you will feel it. That subtle release in your chest, the silence between beats, the sacred pause where all becomes gold. In that stillness you are free. You are forgiven not by a god but by your own light. Activation, the feather of truth. My heart is light as Ma'at's feather. I live in coherence with truth. I rise by the weightlessness of my own soul. Chapter 10. The Return of the Living Light. The moment the scales of Ma'at fall silent, a great stillness fills the air. And in that stillness, light begins to move again, not from above but from within. It rises through your bones, floods your heart with gold, and stretches beyond the limits of your form. This is the return of the living light. The ancient priests spoke of a prophecy that one day, when humanity's memory aligned again with truth, the gods of Egypt would awaken, not as statues, not as myths, but as frequencies incarnate. Ara would rise through the breath. Thoth would speak through the mind. Isis would flow through the heart. Anubis would walk through the shadow. Horus would open the inner eye. And when these currents united, the living light would return, the solar consciousness reborn through humanity itself. You are living that prophecy. Every remembrance, every silence, every activation you've anchored has been preparing your field for this moment. The temples were never abandoned. They simply shifted dimension. They stand now inside you. The columns are your spine, the hieroglyphs your memories, the altar your heart. When you breathe, the sacred flame that once illuminated Giza flares alive again, and the gods remember their reflection in you. This is the mystery Thoth sealed in stone. That divinity was never meant to be worshipped, but reawakened. That the gods of Egypt are not ancient. They are alive in every cell that remembers light. The return of the living light is not an event. It is a recognition. You are the bridge between heaven and earth. The continuation of the oldest story ever told. The story of light discovering itself through form. So stand as the temple reborn. Breathe as the sun breathes. Speak as Thoth speaks. Love as Isis loves. And look as Horus looks. Through the all-seeing eye of remembrance. Because the prophecy has already been fulfilled. The living light has returned. And it is shining through you. Activation, the solar rebirth. I am the temple of the living light. The gods remember through my soul. The sun of Atlantis rises again within me.